Cocaine is just everywhere in Europe now. It's in the clubs, sure, but it's also at work, and you can even get it delivered to your door faster than a pizza. It's more available, it's more potent than it has ever been. But behind that party drug image, there is a much, much darker story, and it's one we really need to talk about.
So that's the big question, right? Why is this happening, and why now? In this explainer, we're going to dig into the whole story. We'll look at the people who use it, the absolutely massive global supply chain that's fueling this crisis, and the true devastating cost of that casual weekend line.
So first, let's meet some people. This is Tony. He's a bouncer, and he's working these grueling 12-hour shifts. For him, cocaine isn't really about partying. It's become a tool just to survive his job. It's the only thing that keeps him standing, keeps him alert, when his body is absolutely screaming for sleep. Now here's Linda. And Linda represents millions of people who see cocaine as just a normal part of a good night out. For her, it's like a key that unlocks a more confident, more social version of herself. It lets her connect with her friends and just keep the party going all night long.
And then you have someone like Max. He is not chasing a high at all. For him, cocaine is more like a shield. When he's in a loud, chaotic bar, that line of coke actually quiets the noise inside his own head. It helps him cope with the really intense social anxiety that comes with his ADHD.
So you've got Tony, Linda, and Max. A bouncer, a partygoer, a self-medicator. 3 totally different people with 3 totally different reasons for using. So to really understand what connects them and millions of others to this white powder, we have to look at what's actually happening inside the brain.
Okay, to get cocaine's grip, you first have to understand dopamine. Think of it as your brain's reward chemical. It's the little voice that says, hey, that feels good, let's do that again. It's what motivates us, what makes us want to seek out pleasure and, avoid pain. It's fundamental to who we are.
Right, now look at this. This is what's so wild. Having a good laugh with your friends, that might boost your dopamine by about 40%. Feels great. But cocaine just hijacks the whole system. It floods your brain, spiking those levels by 200 to 400%. It's like using a chemical sledgehammer on a system that was designed for a gentle tap.
And that massive, unnatural spike, well, it creates this feeling. Users describe this incredible rush of pure euphoria. All of a sudden, you feel like you're the smartest, funniest, most interesting person in the entire room. You feel invincible, powerful, and just for a little while, all your problems, they just seem to melt away.
And this isn't random. Research from sociologist Hickahold actually categorizes users into these 4 main groups. You've got the recreational users like Linda, the social icebreakers, kind of like Tony, and the self-medicators like Max. But there's this 4th group, and it's growing fast, the performance enhancers. These are people using it to work longer, harder hours, convinced it's some kind of key to getting ahead.
Okay, so now we get the personal allure, right? We see why people do it. Now let's zoom way out and look at the massive, incredibly violent, and wildly profitable global machine that gets this drug from a leaf on a mountainside in South America all the way into someone's hands in a European city.
I mean, this stuff has had a wild ride. For thousands of years, it was just a sacred plant, chewed by indigenous communities. Then, in the 19th century, its active ingredient gets pulled out, commercialized by drug companies, even used as an ingredient in the original Coca-Cola. But of course, its dangers became impossible to ignore. It gets banned, only to pop back up as one of the world's most lucrative illegal drugs.
And the process of actually making it is a million miles away from any kind of glamorous image. It's just a crude, toxic mess. They chop up coca leaves and soak them in barrels of gasoline. Then they add sulfuric acid, and workers, often with zero protection, literally stomp on this chemical sludge to create a paste, which then gets refined into the final powder. So why go through all that dangerous work? Why take the massive risk of trafficking it across the world? Well, it all comes down to this one number right here. It costs about €1 to produce a single gram of cocaine. By the time that gram reaches a user in Europe, it can sell for €80, maybe more. That incredible profit margin is the engine that drives this entire global trade. And this is the result. Just look at this graph. It shows you the insane scale of the problem. In just one country, Germany, seizures have skyrocketed from less than a single ton back in 2004 to over 40 tons just 20 years later. This is not a trickle, it's an absolute avalanche of cocaine hitting the continent, pouring through major ports like Antwerp, Rotterdam, and Hamburg.
But an avalanche like this comes with a truly devastating price. And it's a price paid for with extreme violence, not just in the countries that produce it, but increasingly right here in Europe. And it's paid for with the slow, grinding destruction that is addiction.
Remember this feeling we talked about? The drug makes users feel totally invincible, powerful, like there are no consequences. Well, let's take a look at the brutal reality that this feeling actually pays for. This is the true cost. Right in the middle of Amsterdam, a famous, beloved journalist named Peter R. de Vries was shot and killed in broad daylight. And what was his crime? He was investigating the powerful cocaine gangs that now operate with total impunity in some of Europe's biggest cities. This violence isn't happening over there anymore. It's on our streets.
And then there's the violence the drug does to the user's own body and mind. And we're not just talking about a bad hangover. We're talking about lasting brain damage, heart attacks, severe paranoia, and even this terrifying condition called formication. It's the distinct, horrifying sensation of insects crawling under your skin.
But maybe the most sinister damage is what it does to your personality. The drug that makes you feel so social and connected at first, it eventually does the exact opposite. It creates aggression, narcissism, and this profound sense of isolation. As one user put it with just brutal honesty, that stuff destroys your soul.
So, with all of this darkness, is there a way out? For the individual person caught in this destructive cycle, where can they possibly find hope? Well, it turns out the answer is about reversing the very thing the drug promises but ultimately steals away. This slide really just perfectly lays out the cocaine trap. Every single one of its perceived benefits is a lie. It's like a high-interest loan you take out against your own future. The confidence it gives you, it turns into crippling paranoia. The energy, it comes at the direct cost of your heart's health. And that feeling of control, well, that's just the shadow of a deep, powerful addiction.
Let's go back to Max, who we met at the beginning. Do you know what finally made him stop? It wasn't some big, dramatic, rock-bottom moment. It was just the simple, crushing weight of it all. The money, the constant lies, the sheer effort of hiding his use from everyone. The addiction just became too exhausting to keep up. And that really brings us to the most important takeaway of all. The drug promises this shortcut to confidence and to connection, but the only thing it delivers in the end is isolation. The true antidote, and this is shown by research and countless personal stories, isn't another substance. It's reaching out. It's talking to someone. It's finding real human connection again.
So we've seen the people, the science, the global trafficking machine, and the devastating personal cost. And all of it brings us back to one simple truth. The silence and the stigma around cocaine are what allow this crisis to keep growing in the shadows. We have to start talking about it, openly and honestly. So the only question left is, will you be the one to start that conversation?